Hey, guys, what's up? I want to read something off someone we're going to call Vic. Now, Vic did this about, I would say, about 22 hours ago, perhaps. About 23 hours ago, around 23 hours ago, he did this. And basically, this is what Vic says here is an analysis on Ken Penders. Yeah, an analysis on Ken Penders. Yeah, he says it's some stuff that he was able to find about. He says it's some stuff that he was able to find out about Ken Penders from various sources and compiled together. So this is basically an analysis from various sources and stuff that he's put together on Ken Penders, and this is what he has to say. This is what Vic, 23 hours ago, has to say, and I quote, I've been noticing, and this is Vic, so I quote, I've been noticing this and have decided to finally put this together, and it's about all the information on Ken Penders I've seen from various sources, and if he is truly responsible or some greedy executives are. Okay. Continuing on, and I quote, Ken Penders, as some know, was a former writer that worked on Archie Sonic and created many characters and helped build up the universe of Archie Sonic. And was good at first, but over time his stories would become more crappy. Eventually, he was booted out or quit Archie Comics in 2006, allowing Ian Flynn to take over the comic. While some people say that Ian Flynn's stories make characters OOC, out of character, or have too much pointless shock value, or a few plot holes, Ken Penders' stories were far worse. Let's take Sonic Live. Take Sonic Live, for example. Now, about Ken Penders' role in ruining everything. He may have had a hand in preventing Saturday Morning from getting a third season, which may have been some time before he worked on the comic. During his later years on the comic, he wrote many crappy stories. In 2008, he filed a lawsuit against Sega, EA, BioWare for allegedly stealing his ideas for the game Sonic Chronicles, which may be still ongoing. In 2009 or 2010, he filed copyright claims to the comic and had a lawsuit of some sort, which, as I recall, didn't really affect the comic that much. However, later in 2012 or some other date, Archie Comics began to reprint Ken Penders' works without paying him, and enraged, he went to Archie and wanted to discuss things about the comic only for Archie to slam a lawsuit on him, which resulted in the lawsuit that pretty much ruined the Archie Sonic comic later on and near the end of 2012. They were about to settle, but Sega interfered, forcing them to continue the lawsuit, and during it, Archie was advised by the new legal team, they fired the original, to remove Ken Penders' characters, which resulted in the botched endangered species sub-arc, that is. And the lawsuit continued, and in March or April, Sega participated, and the lawsuit continued until July, in which the judge dismissed the case and forced the two to settle on an agreement, on a secret agreement. Ken Penders, who once said that Archie was free to use his characters, later on went on to say that Archie and anybody else using his characters had to license them from him, and if Archie would use his characters, they would have to agree to certain conditions, which were too difficult to abide, and therefore Archie did not bring back the characters. Overall, Ken Penders has a habit of lying at times, can be considered a slimy greed bag. And that's basically from Vic, and I'll provide a link down below so you guys can read it yourself. But basically, from the analysis he's saying, it's pretty much what we've talked about already. You see, Ken Penders, whether you like the guy, whether you support the guy or you don't, the fact is, Ken Penders, I already called this out. It's like I said before, I called this out before this whole secret agreement came to be. But I totally called on this. I said that I said basically, and I said this before, but I said this basically. The only way Ken Penders would allow anything to happen, the only way this whole lawsuit thing could come to an end, is if a lot of what Ken Penders did would be considered canon, true parts of the continuity, including the future stories. But that didn't happen. So, ironically, we're stuck with what we have, and that's okay. I mean, Countdown to Chaos seems to be doing pretty good. We just got to wait for the other two issues to kind of to see if it's all going to pay off good in the end or if it's just unnecessary. But anyway, like I said, you know, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, but, who knows what's going to happen? But again, like I said before, what's ironic is that you had Ian Flynn continuing Mobius years later, but on the condition it was sort of like an Elseworld story. In other words, like it was an alternative universe. Like, basically, this is like another zone. It's another dimension kind of deal. Which could be a possibility in the eyes of some if they wanted to continue it. But then again, we don't know. But basically, that's Vic's analysis on Ken Penders. I'll provide the link down below. Let you guys read it yourself. And that's all I'm going to say. Comment if you like, and I'll talk to y'all later.